So look, let's get into it. The topic today we talking about is now faith, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
I had to bring this live and talk to you about this in person. Now, of course, for those watching, me and him are brothers. We go back 2 decades, really 3 decades, if you want to count 2009 being a separate decade, right?
Facts.
So this is gonna probably be more of a reminiscence conversation, just looking back on time and looking at the things we've been through, while we talk about this subject. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But first things I want to do is let you define what now faith is, because that's the term that you brought to my attention,
Right,
right?
right.
And it is a
Uh-huh.
part of my journey, but it's something that originated from you when it comes to my perspective, right?
hmm
So I like you to share that, that term, and like, what does it mean to you, and elaborate however you want to.
All right, cool. So I guess I'll tap back in a way that it kind of came to me, right? Uh, I was in a mall one day. This was probably, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago. And, I already knew what faith was, you know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
had, but it was coming from the faith without works. Faith without works is dead, being that, it takes time. It takes time. You got to appreciate the time it takes to, put into something, and then, it's more worth it once, the time. You don't want nothing too quick, you know what I mean? So to speak. But, um, so the guy I was talking to, he was like, "Okay, that's what's up, man. You built it. You here. That's what's up, man." But he pulled out he pulled out the scriptures, right? He pulled out the Bible, and then we went to Hebrews 11:1, and he told me to read it. So I was like, "Okay." Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So he asked me, "What's the most important word in that scripture?" Right? And I'm like, "Hmm, faith." Okay, substance. Assurance. You know what I mean? I'm saying everything but the first word. He said, "No, what's the first word in that scripture say?"
Right.
Now. He's like, "Okay." So we've been, a lot of us in general, especially, how I learned it growing up, you're saying now like it's okay, here we are now. Faith is the substance, you know what I'm saying? But he's like, "No, no, no, no. Take that now and faith and put it together." Now faith is different from faith. Faith is what got you here, but now you're leveling up to the now faith to understand what the now faith is, right? We can talk about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen in the future, or I don't know what you ate for breakfast yesterday. Matter of fact, no, let's not even talk about breakfast. Let's talk about um what you're wearing, right? I don't know what you wore yesterday. You could have told me you wore a Houston Rockets jersey.
Hmm.
I believe you because you're my brother. And I don't got no reason to think that you're gonna lie to me about what you wore yesterday.
Hmm.
But do I know that you wore a Houston Rockets jersey yesterday? No, I'm taking your word for it because that's what you said you wore yesterday.
Right.
But I don't know that. But one thing I promise you, I know what type of shirt you're wearing right now. How do I know that though? How do I
Because
know
your
that?
experience, it's
Because I'm
what you're
experienced.
seeing,
I'm seeing it with my
first person
eyes.
perspective.
Right. I'm seeing it with my eyes, and I have every reason to believe that you have a Grind Pray shirt on. Grindpray.com. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's called, right? Grindpray.com.
We'll get into that later.
Okay,
But
I'm sorry.
yes,
My bad.
I'm following you, and I think they're gonna follow you very well with this.
Fast, fast, fast. So I see you wearing this Grind Pray shirt on. I know. I don't believe it. I know
Mm-mm.
because that's what I'm experiencing right now. You know what I'm saying? So what's gonna happen tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know. What happened yesterday? I mean, I can recall my day, but I don't. Like I said, I don't know what you ate yesterday. I don't know what you and
Mm.
your daughters did yesterday. I don't know what you watched on YouTube, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But I know what you're doing right now. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Now is the present, and the present is a gift. You know what I'm saying? So I think in general, the significance of the now faith is now faith isn't about what happened in the past, what was going to happen in the future. It's like, nah, yo, what's going right now. And now faith, we use it, a lot of times we use now faith and like we use now faith and don't even understand that we're using it. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, what happens if you're driving and it's raining and pouring, and then you start losing control of that wheel. It starts hydroplaning. It's like, oh shoot, oh Jesus, hey, you know what I'm saying? Help me. You know what I'm saying? It's the
Mm-hmm.
the now in the moment, that moment, you got to call on, whatever, the higher power to help you in that situation. Or if somebody comes up with a pistol and says, yo, run it. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
You're gonna start.
don't want to be in that situation.
You don't want me in that situation, but a lot of times people use that. So my thing is like, okay, the same way we use that now faith, we start calling on God when things happen in that moment. Why don't we use that and it just when we wake up? Period. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Yo, boom, take the wheel. What am I doing right now? What do you want me to do today? What am I gonna do today? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right, boom. What's on my spirit right now? Okay, boom. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I hope I explained it. I get excited when I talk about that now faith, man. It was just a different level, man. It's a different level of, you're getting the A to Z. You know, I got to that Z point, putting in that work over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but what happens once you get to Z?
Right.
What do you do? You know what I mean? Right now, in this moment.
Well, so two things. First off, going back to the Hebrews 11. So, it was a gentleman who brought this to your attention with that particular verse, right?
Yeah.
So, you brought it to my attention with the same verse,
Hmm.
right? So that verse means a lot to me as well because of what transpired when you showed me that verse. But what stood out to me, and I want to point out to those who are watching, the verse starts off with the word now,
Hmm.
and I think that is the dead giveaway for your interpretation and the interpretation that that gentleman gave you, because that's not how you start a sentence off, right?
Right. Right.
And it's a brand new chapter, brand new sentence starting the passage.
Hmm.
So it's not being left over from the previous sentence either.
Right. Right.
So when you look at it through that lens, now is becoming a noun, noun,
Hmm.
and not a um by the way.
Right. Perfect. That's how you put in so much better words, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say. You know. So by the way, faith is the substance, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. No. So it's literally talking about no. Like, so does that make sense when I say, you got to separate the two, faith as a substance and now faith as a substance. You know what I
Right.
mean? Gotcha.
So it's the present moment that you're enacting your faith. And
Hmm.
that's what you've been living your life by, um unintentionally before you knew that, and then intentionally after you knew that, right?
Right. Right.
That's the difference of awareness, is that once it comes to your awareness, now it becomes intentional. I always use the analogy, it's like when you're breathing naturally versus thinking about breathing, right? So when you're not thinking about breathing, your breathing is automatic. But when you're thinking about breathing, your breathing now becomes manual and you're the one in control of it, right?
Right.
So unintentionality versus intentionality. You were enacting your faith this entire time, right? And
Right.
faith is one of those interesting things because it gets used in a multitude of different ways. It gets used as a substitute for belief. It's like, hey, what's your faith? My faith is Christianity. What's your faith? Your faith, my faith is Islam. My faith is Buddhism or whatever you use the word faith for. But
Right.
that isn't the same as putting your faith in something, right? Like when you put
Right.
your faith in something, your actions are showing that your trust is there towards that particular thing. So like I like the example of you using a car, right? I love driving. I love using driving as an analogy for faith because when you get into the driver's seat and you get out there on that road, look how much stuff you don't have control over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at all the people on the road with you. Look at all the
Mm-hmm.
hazards. Look at all the traffic laws you have to obey. And when
Mm-hmm.
you're out there driving, you are literally putting your faith, first of all, in yourself that you can get there, your car, because
Right.
you're expecting your car to get you there safely and not, malfunction
Mm-hmm.
while you're driving. The hazards that can potentially get in your way, rain, snow. You could see a puddle on the ground and don't have time to get out the way of it, right?
Right.
Jesus take the wheel, you hit the puddle, you're losing control.
Yep.
All of a sudden your intuition kicks in.
Mhm.
You start some people want to slam on the brakes, but if
Right.
you went to driving school, they taught you whenever you hit a puddle, you never hit the brakes.
Right.
You ride the puddle. You
Mm-hmm.
trust the process
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
get to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wow, I trusted the process. I went off of what they taught me because you really only have one chance to mess that up, right? Technically
Right.
speaking, you step on the brakes, you spin out, you crash, and then that's it. You got to go get another car,
That's
right?
it. Right.
Unless the car doesn't hit anything, and then you just get to have your near death experience to say, okay, all right, I'm seeing something here, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the noun faith is so powerful because it teaches you something about time. And I think
Right.
that's the realization that you have. So can you elaborate on like what that means to you and how you kind of like live your life now based on the realization of this new realization rather of the present moment?
All right. Because all right, I look at it like this. So you got the present, and so before the present, you have what?
The past.
The past, and what
Hmm.
comes after the present?
The future.
Future. So you got past, present, future.
Hmm.
Right. The past, even me asking or you asking me that question to break it down, that's already in the past. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And whatever you're about to do a minute from now, whatever you're about to ask me a minute from now hasn't happened yet.
Hmm.
But look at everything that's happening as we go. Everything is present, 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 present. Just, you know what I'm saying? Present is always in your face no matter what. You know what I mean? It's present is the present is past, the present is future, and the present is now. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is the most significant. That's the most significant because people get caught up into these things too. People get too caught up into
Hmm.
the past.
Hold on, I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on with your microphone. Can you hear me? Like your sound went out. If you have to disconnect and connect back, I can stay live while you do that if you have to.
When my notifications is supposed to be off.
Oh, okay, got you. Got you.
Let me see something.
All right. Well, you go and take care of that, and we can just like cut this part out. Maybe I don't know. Depends on how long.
It's all good. All right, we'll let it
Okay.
ride. But
Yeah.
so that's how can I transition to it just in case? So the significance of the now is more important to me because, you know, that's what I'm looking at every split second that I'm breathing, no matter if it becomes the past or no, you know, or walking towards the future, it's we're still living in the now. You know what I'm saying? The
Mm-hmm.
now is, and so I find it significant too. To the synonym of it is present. Present, and then a synonym for present is gift.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's really a gift to be woke enough to understand that significance of now. So yes, the past is the past. It shapes us to who we are, quote
Well,
unquote.
a lot of different religions and spiritual practices talk about that present moment, and
Mhm.
it says it so plainly, but the whole idea of meditation, the whole idea of a lot of these spiritual practices, rituals, is to get you to realize that, like you said, the present moment being a gift is that when you're present, you get to appreciate the moment, you get to have gratitude towards the moment, and you
Mhm.
get to act in the moment at your highest potential as opposed to your mind being elsewhere. Because the thing about thinking about the past and thinking about the future is that you're doing it in the present moment. So when your mind is drifting, you're not fully in the present moment because you're AKA stuck in the past or
Mhm.
stuck in the future. And you're not acting at your highest potential because you're not fully present. Right.
Right. Right.
And so that's, what it did for me. It's funny, before you even brought that to my attention, that idea was being shown to me through my own personal journey in spiritual walk when I was listening to these different philosophers months before you brought it to my attention. And Alan Watts comes to mind, Carl Jung, and then just getting a little bit into Buddhism, that the mindfulness that is the focus of that particular philosophy
Right.
is so heavily dependent upon the realization that your present moment is always with you.
Right.
Um, and so, because of that, when you brought it to my attention, I immediately understood what you were saying, right?
Mhm.
But going back to my experience, in 2024, I never forget that day, March 8th. And again, I told you I was going to bring this up, that when you was bringing it to my attention, because I had already been studying that concept,
Mhm.
when you brought it to me, my first instinct was, wow, this was in the Bible. I don't know anything. I don't know shit.
Mhm. Right.
How did I miss this?
Right.
And in that moment, I surrendered. I truly surrendered and said, you know what? I don't know anything. And poof, it's like, I know that wasn't your intention,
Right.
but it was your intention because you was bringing this concept to me
Right.
and you wanted to share this concept. I like to use certain terms just to, get people's antennas going up. You brought this good news to me,
Right.
and when you did, because I already understood the concept, I didn't know it was spoken so plainly within the Bible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what made me feel like, I don't want to use the word fool, but it made me feel like a child. It made me feel like, well, how did I miss this?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's crazy? So even by you saying you felt like a child again, right? It's like understanding that concept is you have to go back to being a child again, because I feel like when people say they're woke, like being woke is you have to accept that you don't know anything. You know, yes, we got our philosophies, things that make sense to us and things that we can agree with, or, you know, I even shape myself to start saying, oh, yo, yeah, that sounds like, you know, that could work. You know, I could
Hmm.
see that, you know, happening, or I don't agree with that, but hey, maybe, hey, yeah, I don't know,
Hmm.
you know, and it just took me to a new chapter of life of being able to appreciate saying, you know what, I don't know,
Right.
and I'm okay with that. I'm okay removing that ego because think about it, all our lives when we, you know, went to church and you know read the Bible with different you know groups of people and stuff like that, and you know there's appointed teachers and stuff like that. You know, there we're learning this with the belief that this is real.
Hmm.
You know, but it was that moment when I figured out that hold on, okay, just because I believe it doesn't necessarily make it real, but what's real? You know what I'm saying? What's real? What is
Mm.
real? You know, but and I took it as okay, this is what works for me. This is what helps me grow as an individual. But I'm going to remove my ego from saying that any anything that's given to me that I haven't experienced for myself is is a philosophy, yo. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
somebody's interpretation. And if I wasn't there to witness it, then I have to say I don't know if it's truth or not. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But and no buts. Just to point out the freedom in saying I don't know. Right.
hmm
And there's layers to it. So there's the freedom in saying it. There's also the tongue in cheek of saying I don't know because you're communicating to that other person, hey, I don't know.
Right.
And I'm trying to tell you I don't know. And when you're trying to tell someone I don't know, you know, just like I know, what you are saying, whether or not they're receiving it that way is
Right.
on them, right? And
For
that's what
sure.
makes it, that's why you have the little twinkle in your eye and the dimple when you say it, right?
hmm
And I enjoy
hmm
saying it too. It's such freedom in saying you don't know. Um, I believe it was either Aristotle or Socrates. It might have been Socrates that said,
Socrates.
yeah, not knowing is the beginning of wisdom,
Right. Right. Right.
right? It's the foundation.
hmm
Um, Realizing that when he accepted that he doesn't know, that's
hmm
when he realized, like, oh, okay. And
hmm
so it's funny when you look up the interpretation of that particular saying, because other people have said similar things as well. A lot of people will interpret that and say that, oh, yeah, curiosity. First, you have to know you don't know in order to learn something. While that is true, we know that that's really not what they're saying.
Right.
What they're saying and implying is that you can't know.
Right.
But when you put it in that way, that can't really be well received and it leaves out a bit of the nuance because of course there's things I can know. I can know that I have on pants. I can know that I'm talking to you, Hen. I can know that there's a light shining down right on me right now. I can know that in 2 weeks I'm gonna get paid, or have at least have faith that I'm gonna get paid in 2 weeks. I can know that when I press this handle down, that this shirt is getting printed up, right?
hmm
So what do you mean I can't know? So there's really no linguistical way to fully incorporate the meaning of it. Because if you say I can't, it leaves one part out. And if you say I don't, it leaves another part out.
hmm
When really you're saying I can't know and I don't know at the same time.
Right.
But there's no word for that. right?
Facts.
Or at least we have to invent one, and then when we invent one, we had to explain what the word means, and we're back to square one. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but yeah, so all of what we're doing, all of what we're saying is very interesting because me and you, we've been through a lot, right? So
Hmm.
when I met you, I was knee deep in Hebrew Israelite culture, right?
Right.
Um, I came into the realization of the Hebrew Israelite movement back in 2007. Really, it
Hmm.
might have been the end of 2006, but my memory's a little jarred. But I remember specifically sharing some of these things in 2007 with people. It might have been 2006 because I remember that Christmas, I was trying to explain to my mother and my uncle. We was up in Maryland during the 2006 Christmas. It was about to be 2007. And I was explaining to my mother about the reality that Christmas was pagan.
Hmm.
And so I believe I came into the knowledge of Hebrew Israelite and all of that stuff, maybe like that fall 2006.
Hmm.
And then I began to practice it ongoing from 2007 forward. So you incorporate little things like one of the first things you stop doing is eating pork, right?
Right.
So you stop eating pork. I mean, that's like the number one thing. Hebrew Israelite, Muslim, Jewish, we don't eat pork. Um, and then so on and so forth. And I went through a lot of the laws. I remember one time I wasn't like lining my hair up. I had that interpretation, and I looked like a madman for like six months. And I was in college. And
Right.
I was just thinking about that moment yesterday. And I was like, wow, I know that people really love me.
Right.
Because for me to walk out, look crazy like that, and I'm going to the parties and I'm going, hanging out with the cute girls or whatever, et cetera, et cetera, and no
Right.
one's saying a word.
Right. Right.
That's just how
Yeah. Yeah.
he's on that stuff,
Right. Right.
right? We love him anyway. Like that is a glimpse of unconditional love right there. And you think about people in your life that have these little quirks like that, and you don't say anything because you accept them as for who they are.
Right.
And that truly is, a piece of unconditional love. That truly is what it means to be human. The human experience is when you
Right.
love people as they are and
Hmm.
when they change.
Hmm.
Doing both, right?
And we both experienced quite a bit of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
I experienced it. I grew up in a very loving environment. And when I met you, I walked right into another loving environment.
Right. Right.
I mean, your mother, your father, I call them mother and father with the Hebrew names to this day, Ima and Abba, Abi. I call them Abi, but
Hmm.
I still use those terms. Even though your dad name is Don, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I just don't call him Don.
Yes, sir.
Um. So like in your mother, oh my goodness, anytime I learn something new, I can remember back to when your mother said a particular thing, and,
Hmm.
and I go, that's what she meant.
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
She got to this point long before we did.
Very, very, very much so. Yeah. She was definitely ahead of the schedule. She was
Head of
definitely
our
ahead of the
schedule for
schedule.
sure.
No
Yeah.
doubt, no doubt. And then it's funny, like a lot of the things that's happening in the now, was a future site for her, even down to like I remember you like remember the time we was in the kitchen, right?
Hmm.
Remember we were in the kitchen and um she was speaking about our music and she was like, "Yo, this stuff y'all putting out right now, yeah, you got people who ride with it, but it's really gonna be understood and accepted a time from now." She's like, "Give it some time." You know what I'm saying? And people gonna be going back to the words that y'all putting out right now,
Hmm.
and it's gonna speak so much louder. Um, and she was so sure of that too.
Mm.
She was so sure of it. So I know we was kind of touching on it the other day. It was like, so when we look at it like, yo, we could have been in the positions of J. Cole's and the Kendricks and that whole double XL freshman class and stuff. When you had a Currency and Wale's and B.O.B.'s on the cover like that. Like we were in a certain position to where, sometimes I find myself saying, "Dang, if we would have did this way, if we would have did that way, if we wouldn't have took the Trey Songz remix down," you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah. If we had so many pieces that if we would have just figured it out in that moment, then yes, we could possibly be in the position that they're in. But then I always go back to that conversation too with my mother, and she's just like, "Yo, y'all stuff is for a time that is not right now." You
Right
know what I'm
now, right.
saying?
So what's interesting about that, right, from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
is that when I went, so I was there as well. She was talking to you, but she was talking to both of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when she said that to me, my first feeling that I can remember was disappointment.
Right.
And the reason why I felt disappointed that she said that is because I knew she was telling the truth.
Mm.
So I immediately felt the disappointment in knowing, dang, man, and I can speak on this now, with better words, but dang, man, I'm not gonna get mine until later. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
I want it now. There's that word
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yep. Yep.
Here we are now.
Right. Here we are now, and it's like, so do you say that you haven't made it, or you haven't did what you were supposed to do, or that dream didn't come true yet? Like,
So the
hold
way I
on,
would the way I
what?
would describe it now
Okay, got you.
is I would describe it as I did what God led me to do,
Uh-huh.
and there were things that I understood, and there were things that I didn't understand, and the things that I didn't understand led me down led me down the path that happened. The things that I did understand also led me down that same path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because all the things that did happen led me to meeting you,
Mm.
right? Putting out so when uh the spirit led me to put out Hebrews Are Us because I saw a lack of music catered specifically to the Hebrews. That's what brought your dad and your mother's attention towards me, and then in introducing you that same around that same time period, because you had Wars One. Remember, you had Wars One. That was the one song you had, and then we
Right. I had
re-recorded
I
that.
had the version that I had recorded on campus at Norfolk State, and yeah, it was just like a poor mix of it. But yeah, that's literally all I had. I was transitioning from the music that I was putting out before that, around the way, Get Money Gangsta stuff. And
Hmm.
yeah, Wars One was like me coming into that whole when I started transitioning into the Hebrew Israelite, and I wanted to just make more conscious music and
Hmm.
reflect what I was learning at the time. So all right, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was moving the camera around. But yeah, absolutely. Towards One, that was might have been your one song, but you already know how the Hebrews are. They loved it.
Right.
They loved it. They loved Hebrews Are Us. Hebrews Are Us was a terrible mix. I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't have the money at the time to take it into the big studio to record it. But honestly, I love the way it came out because had it been produced pristinely, I don't know if I would have been as proud of it as I am of the terrible mix.
Mm-hmm.
Because by doing it myself, that rawness that's in the music it leaves room for growth. If it was mixed perfectly with what I did, I wouldn't have been as proud of it as I am now because it's like, wow, with all the gizmos and the gadgets and the mixing and the equipment, this is what I sound like.
Right, right.
You get where I'm going with that?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can see the progression in our music through the mixes, through the beats, through the quality. I remember when we re-recorded "Who You Are," and we liked the older version better.
Yeah, I
But
remember that.
looking back at it, the newer version is obviously better. My singing's better. Your rapping and delivery is better. The beat is clearer. It's louder. But we were so attached to the original sound and trying to imitate the original sound when we recorded it. But we also knew too that we needed a better version,
Right.
right? And so training your ears to hear better, is compare and contrast. And it's just funny when it turns out that way. And so here we are working on music together. We did Weekend Update. Look how many people were touched by that project. Who War Towards One, right?
Remember?
Working on
No, no.
shout out to Brad
Let's
Moss.
rewind a little bit. Let's get real raw with it. Remember, it took us a little minute to even make that transition together. You know what I mean?
Oh, you got to
Because
enlighten me. I don't remember.
nah, yeah, okay. So I remember like yesterday, my father was like, "Yo, there's this guy from out in Petersburg, yo. He's with the organization. You know, you gotta check him out. Yo, I think y'all would really make some great music together." This is my father telling me
Yeah,
this,
that sounds like your dad.
and he was trying to put it together for so long, but I, because the Hebrews R Us wasn't as mixed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you weren't the polished artist that you are now. We
Mm-hmm.
talking, this is what, almost 20 years ago. Damn, that's crazy when I think about it. That
Yeah,
was
it's
almost
18 years
20 years
ago.
ago.
It's 18
Yeah.
years ago for sure.
Sheesh. So, and I remember like not being too enthusiastic to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, man, I'm like years ahead of these Hebrew Israelite people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I remember looking at it like, no, I just want to learn with these people. I'm not interested in making music with them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do my own thing. And but it wasn't until we actually linked up and then that what you call it, synergy, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It was just like boom. We were perfectly present in the moment together.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And even then I still wasn't as enthusiastic to do it. I was just
Mm-hmm.
doing it. But then what happened is once we said the very first thing we recorded was it All Around the World?
It was all around the world.
All Around the World was that first track that we ever recorded together. And then once I saw that this group of people was like really rocking with it and they're playing it and they're sharing it and you know what I mean, whatever it was around that time,
Mm-hmm.
that gave me the confidence. I'm like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Let me go ahead and, continue working with this guy. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so then boom, now where you were, talking about the projects we did. We started off a weekend update and
I'm glad you shared that. So I'm gonna tell you what's so interesting about that, right? So I felt the same way you did, but not about you.
right.
I felt the same way you did about the Hebrews.
Hebrew Israelites
So,
in general, right.
right. So
I
let me
remember you
explain.
telling me
Like,
that because you said once you heard the war is won, you was like, okay, this guy can actually
mhm.
he goes. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Well, that too, but no, that's not actually where I'm going with it. But that
Okay.
too, where I'm going with it is that. So you said when you did all around the world, you put it out and you say, "Wow, look at the feedback they're getting." You saw the validation, you saw the credibility, you saw the potentiality of it, right?
Yeah.
I saw it in reverse. Every time I put a song out and they went crazy over it, my first thought always was, "This is cool and all, but if they're going crazy over it, imagine if we do something not Hebrew."
Okay, got you.
You get where I'm going?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting every time they're getting excited, I'm getting my validation like, okay, maybe I am good enough to go do something else other than make music for Hebrews.
Right, for sure.
Right. When I heard you rapping, my first thought is, oh, this guy's a little too good for these guys.
Yeah, yeah. Feel you.
You get where I'm going with this?
Right, right.
So I wasn't enthusiastic to work with you either, but for a different reason, not because I thought didn't think you were talented or anything like that. I'm like, Hebrews, man. And so when I got around you and I saw that you were like me,
Hmm.
for lack of a better term, not a regular guy, but just a brother. Like, yo, we from VA, we love Pharrell. We like
Facts. Oh
Clips.
yeah, yeah. We
That's
forgetting
what
that part.
that's
Yeah,
what hit me. Like, oh shoot, you
yeah.
like the same shit I like.
Right, right,
Oh, so we got something else to talk about other than Yahweh Shai, Mashiach. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Praise Yahweh. You know what I mean?
right, right.
While your mother pours up the manischewitz
Facts,
and
facts.
serves the split pea soup and the homemade pies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, with a
Now
Coors
we
Light on the
cooking.
side. Look, look, with a Coors Light on the side
With
too.
the Coors Light, now we're cooking. This dude
Right,
gets it. I just finished partying at Virginia State University. This guy
right,
goes to
right.
Norfolk.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what excited me about the situation. I wasn't
No
thinking
doubt.
about the music.
No doubt. That made yeah. I forgot that part. Yeah, the connection to the connect because once I started hearing you started playing me your beats and started making beats on the spotlight at the
Hmm.
crib, you come down to Virginia Beach and it was like, oh shoot, he's a nerd.
Yes.
As in a fellow
NERD nerd.
NERD, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's what
yo,
clicked.
and it was like, so it was a no brainer. And then on top of that, we're both born in June 1986. We're
Hmm.
literally what, 9 days
9 days
apart.
apart. Completion. The number of
Oh my
completion.
gosh. So it was just like, yo, and I think at the time we started identifying, like, yo, are we the two witnesses together? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
And we absolutely are the two witnesses in our own life.
yeah, yeah, for
Every
sure.
time I have a monumental moment with my spirituality, you are right there.
Word, word.
And
That's what's up.
so, like, with what's happening, right? It's funny the perspective that you had of me from hearing Hebrews are us
Uh-huh.
is the same perspective I've had of myself. I was self-aware. Dude, I at the time, Hebrews are us at the time for me, dude, I used to get shocked every time they would play it, to be honest. I mean, they loved it, right? To me, it was very what's the word I'm looking for? It was a very not naive, but amateur project.
Hmm.
Very amateur, you know?
Right.
I had already made beats that was 100 times better than that for other people, even though they didn't use them. And I was already having that experience with music where you make stuff for people and then it just doesn't come out. A lot of times those experiences leads us to these new experiences of, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing because every time I work with someone else, it just doesn't come out.
Hmm.
So to put out my project, link with Brad, link with you, and now we're putting out music that's like a godsend because, oh, shoot, here we are. I have an artist down here in Virginia Beach. I have this guy who's a rock star. And when I work with him, the music actually comes out.
Hmm.
Getting the music out is the biggest hurdle.
That's it. Yeah.
People go into the studio, make their stuff. Even today, it's so easy to make music, but then it just sits in your phone because, you realize, and a lot of people realize the vulnerability, number one, the work that it's going to take if you want some people to hear it, number two, and then you're self-evaluating, am I good enough? So these three things are working against you to release your music.
Right. And you know
And
what I'm real
those
thankful. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll say, and those who don't have those hangups are the ones who throw their stuff out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now go ahead.
And what I'm real thankful about too is, um, that time. So, I'm glad you brought up Brad because Brad is definitely a huge figure into the story as well.
Hmm.
Um, But when you and Brad connected as the first kind and executive produced my first EP, you know what I mean? That's what really, man, it was such a divine experience when I look back at it, because that's literally what got me in the game. It got me the local notoriety and stuff. You know, it took it beyond just the Hebrew Israelite community. You know what I'm saying? It was like, you got to think about it. This was January of 2010.
Hmm.
So a lot of our contemporaries, bro, was not dropping projects on iTunes yet.
No,
So I'm gonna assume that was a Brad thing.
of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that because we never even had that conversation. But
Brad was the engineer and tech guy.
right, right. So
I was the mixing engineer.
when we dropped that joint on iTunes, January of 2010,
Hmm.
it was like, yo, the way people were approaching me was like I was on. I was signed. I had people like asking, yo, how'd you get on, yo? How'd you do it? Not, yo, how'd you get a project on iTunes? It was like, yo, yeah, man, I see you doing your thing. Like they were looking at me like they didn't know I had a job on the side too, and you
Hmm.
know, well, maybe I wasn't working at that moment, but um, yeah, they were really looking at me like, yo, dog, you made it, congratulations, man.
I'm pretty sure you were working at that time.
Maybe, yeah, maybe
I
I was
think
doing the teacher
you was
assistant.
working with Brandon.
Yeah, I was doing the teacher assistant thing or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but
Shout out to DJ Wise.
shout out DJ Wise, man. But
Hmm.
yeah, man, just the significance of that moment. I'm thankful. I'm thankful because it did put me in a different realm that, yo, I wouldn't have put myself in, man. It just took me to get with a guy from Petersburg,
Hmm.
guy from Chesterfield or wherever.
Charles City, you got to get it
Charleston,
right.
yeah, 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 no doubt. And to make that happen and to just put me in a whole nother
Hmm.
light. Um, and
Well,
it's just like, just think about it now, yo. Somebody throw something on iTunes, it's like,
it doesn't mean anything,
it
right?
don't mean anything. You know what I mean?
It
So,
doesn't.
right, right.
You know what's funny? We were like truly in our calling. We truly were in our positions because when I decided I wanted to be a music producer, I looked up to Pharrell. So the whole idea in my head was that one day I would meet someone who could
Mm-hmm.
be my Chad, if you will, who could be my production partner. I don't want to just like place a role for him. Funny
Right, right,
enough, meeting Brad's totally the superstar in the group.
right.
So we were a whole new version of the Neptunes because Brad's the superstar, but I'm the beat maker.
Mm-hmm.
In the Neptunes, the superstar is also the beat maker.
Mm-hmm.
Chad is the musician, but Brad is the musician.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the roles were reversed. The only similarity between me and Pharrell is my vision for making songs. Like Pharrell is the beat maker who has a vision for the song to turn it into a hit. Chad is the musician. He's the one that laces the beats, that like jazzes them out, that like takes it into that weird. He provides the
He
sound
put he
background.
puts the he puts the ornaments on the tree.
He puts the ornaments. He
Yeah.
Chad makes it a Neptune beat.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just a dope beat,
Right,
right? That's what Brad did. But Brad was the superstar.
right.
Brad's the one you put out in front. He got the
Yeah.
charisma, the look, the
Mm.
swag,
Yeah.
right? And for me, when it came to like being an artist, I always had an insecurity around the way that I look, the way that I dress. You know, I never said it out loud. But anytime I got the opportunity to go into production mode and be behind the scenes, I always wanted to be the guy on the mic while the main guy was rapping, right? And I still feel like that to this day, except because I've come into my natural self and understood like, you know, what I like and don't like and kind of gotten over that insecurity. it's become more whole now. You know, when I work on my own music versus like what we're doing right now by being live. And
Right.
so, yeah. But back then, we really were in those roles.
Right.
Like you're from Virginia Beach. I mean, you're from Connecticut, but you're in Virginia Beach. You know, you've been in Virginia Beach since you were 13 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clips is from Virginia Beach. Me and Brad making the beats. Here we are, rapper from Virginia Beach. We did it.
Right.
We literally like the dream came true.
And I'm so glad that you took it there because that was one of the things that remember I asked you. I said, just maybe like 10 minutes ago, I was like, so did we make it? Are we still chasing the dream? And would you consider yourself like
I
we
think we need
did
to
it?
change the idea of making it because we know that if you say I made it, that means you made a career out of it where that it paid all your bills, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I would say that we had a vision and a dream and it came true.
Right.
And what you make of it is based on your definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
Because on one hand, look at all the people who killed the game. But on the other hand, look at all the tens and thousands and millions of people who have made the attempt and never got it off the ground. They never
Right.
the music never came out, or the music came out and it went brick.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I got I got over a handful of songs that went.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Who You Are went. Revelations went, right?
Mm-hmm.
They still play those songs hundreds to over 1,000 times a week right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to say, did I make it? Well, shit, I made the music and it's popping.
Right. I look at it
And
like this. Oh, go ahead, finish.
no, go ahead.
Um, I remember having a conversation with my father, like as a kid, of course, watching MTV and BET and stuff like that, you develop, the dream is to, one day I want to be a rapper. I want to, I want to be in the studios making music. I want music videos. I want to
Hmm.
perform in front of big crowds, you
Right.
know. And when I look at it, I'm like, dang, I did all that.
Hmm.
You know, I've done all that. Now, it might not have been on BET and MTV, but
Hmm.
who cares? You know what I'm saying? you
And you're
know,
still here.
and I'm still here. Right. I'm
I,
still
I,
here.
I cannot sit here and tell you that you're not going to do it.
Right, right.
I,
But my thing is,
I
if I,
honestly can't.
right. But my thing is, if I die tomorrow, I did the things that I wanted to do.
If you die tomorrow, you might end up on BT and MTV.
For sure. For sure.
You know how that game go.
Yeah, yeah. That's that. You're
Shoot. In
absolutely
this
right, brother.
industry, a lot of artists are more valuable dead than alive.
That is true. You,
But I don't want to touch on that subject, not live.
yeah, no doubt,
Um,
no doubt.
but yeah, so fast forward, here we are working together, and you see the team building, you see the people coming around, and and I don't mind sharing publicly that, the mistake I made is not really truly appreciating the Hebrews and the Hebrew culture, because one thing about business that they teach you that is sometimes overlooked, especially by people who are inexperienced, is that business is all about a need. It's all about supply and demand. It's all about providing something that maybe other people can't provide. And what
Right.
we was providing was this music that they get to listen to that reminds them of the music on the radio, but it's something that they want to listen to that they are proud of to be a part of this culture, you know? And so when you get to hear these Hebrew songs and anthems that are as hot as the stuff on the radio, then it's like, look, man, you hear these guys, and they honestly, like, the vision that they had for us, they really were not wrong. We just weren't ready for it, and
Mhm.
honestly, it's like a marriage, it's like a commitment. when you're not ready for marriage, when you're not ready to make that commitment, you're not going to do it. And I wasn't ready to be known as the guy who made Hebrew music on that level. And
Right.
had we continued to go down that path, I have no doubt it would have went to that level. What I didn't know, and what you didn't know, was that a Kendrick Lamar was going to come along. You got to remember,
Right.
Kendrick Lamar got popping after we decided that we didn't want to go that route anymore.
That's facts.
Here he is coming along with high power. Here he is talking about Jesus Christ. Here he is talking about this next level of Christianity. And then 3 albums in, it levels up into this understanding of Hebrew. And
I'm an
then
Israelite. Don't call me black no more.
right on the album Damn, and then here we are all the way after that, where he's talking about ego death and et cetera, et cetera. We watched Kendrick Lamar go through the process in front of us as a mainstream artist and succeed at it. He didn't fall off. He didn't let it take over his life, because you got people that come into this knowledge and experience in public and then fall all the way off because of that. They can't handle the stress. They can't handle the balance of handling your business affairs as well as walking that walk of spirituality, right? The path that divine has you on. And so we watched Kendrick do it. And so looking back at Kendrick's career, I'm like, well, damn, the very thing that we ran from brought us back to zero. With this conversation here would have happened in that direction as well. Potentially speaking, that going down the same path of making music for the Hebrews would have also naturally evolved to where we would have, because remember, Who You Are is basically a song like that. Look at the evolution. Look at the evolution of Hebrews Are Us and Wars One to Who You Are, because Who You Are, remember when you came home, not came home, when you came to Petersburg and we went to the party at Daggy's house, rest in peace, Daggy, my little
Yeah.
brother. And you came into that party and he cut on Who You Are. I had no idea he was gonna cut it on. I
I,
gave him a copy of Weekend Update the minute it came out at the end of August. I'm back in college. He throws that party. You know what I'm saying? I think it was like November. It was either November or beginning of December 2010. No, 2009. Right? And he cuts on Who You Are. And you're like, yo, these kids know it. Daggy had been sharing our music with his entire crew. Now, mind you, these are all government school kids and stuff, and I went to that school too. But I don't know these kids like that. They're 4 or 5 years younger than me. You gotta
yeah.
remember, they became freshmen right after I graduated.
Right.
So now a lot of these kids go to VCU,
Right. Yeah.
and that's what he was hanging out with, his VCU friends and some of his old friends from the government school who was in town. That's why
Right.
I would think it was around like Thanksgiving or Christmas break or something. I think it might have been Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
But they were back in town, and yeah, they
Yeah. That
played that
was.
song for you, and it blew both our minds. But I think it blew your
Yeah.
mind a little bit more than mine. I
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
how they ended up with the music, but you're like, yeah, look, Brandon
I
on right now,
remember
he says,
what
shout out to Dat Piff. Yo, Dat Piff,
that piff.
they
Yeah.
will never
Yeah.
understand. But
Yeah. Sir.
Who You Are was already doing what Kendrick was about to do 5, 6, 7 years later.
Facts.
It was
Facts.
already crossing over.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, man. And I feel like, man, just going back to that time, I remember that same year. So we put out, that was January 2010. So I would say 2011, the
Hmm.
following year after the EP. First time on the airplane, DJ Wise takes me out to California.
Mm.
We fly to LA, drive to San Diego. Um, and that's when I learned about Kendrick Lamar, K Dot. You know what I'm saying? And I remember hearing him, right? And it was the song Vanity Slaves. That was the very first song that I heard. And I'm just listening to it like, yo, this dude is going to be a superstar, yo.
Mm.
2011, yo, and he's the Vanity Slave, you know what I mean? So he was kind of, that song was on our our frequency, Um, but then the next song I heard was the Pussy and Patron.
Yeah, Pussy Patron was a good song.
Yeah, with Ab-Soul, and I'm just like, oh shoot! So he got Vanity Slaves, and then he got the Pussy and Patron. I'm like, yo, this dude is it. I could see him
Yeah.
being a superstar, yo. He keep up that, you know. So, and I called that out in 2011, and then to see where he's at now, I'm just
Hmm.
like, yo. And then to actually see the journey and the path
Hmm.
and how it kind of mirrored where we were already at around that time. It just happened more rapid for us in Virginia. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Well,
yeah,
it's different. It's different levels to it, but just hearing you say that. So the first song I think I remember hearing Kendrick was ADHD because I was heavily, heavily, heavily into like watching music videos on YouTube. I
yeah,
remember Tyler the Creator. The year before that was Wiz Khalifa when he came out
yeah,
with Mesmerize. Like I was
yeah.
really into the music video. So people was downloading the mixtapes off of Dat Piff, shout out to
Mhm.
Brandon, and getting into the music. I'm not a real like well, at least back then, like, oh, here's a new song, let me listen to it. I was back then, I was obsessed with like YouTube, the content, watching the videos. And so, like, I think I remember Kendrick Lamar with ADHD. And then after that song, the song I got hooked on to was She Loves Me.
Okay.
I had that on repeat. Like I love music that just like puts you in like a trance, a space where you just like rock into it, right? I love the beat. I love the message. And so getting hooked on Kendrick Lamar in that way, I had the same realization you had. I'm like, dang, man. But I did not see Kendrick going in that direction with the Hebrew stuff. Like I knew he was woke. I knew he understood certain things. He's an intelligent guy, and he can remind you of yourself, especially us being rappers and producers. Like, yo,
Mhm.
this guy gets it, right? And that's like similar to the understanding that you have of him. But to watch him put out "Damn" the album and like blatantly say Hebrew this, Yahweh that, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, bruh, what?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, again, we were already doing that 6 years, 7 years before that.
Right. Right.
And my only like true statement I could say about where we were at that time is that we simply just did not give ourselves enough credit.
True.
That's the biggest thing I could say because had we given ourselves enough credit in that moment, we would have understood that what we was doing was powerful, more
Yeah.
powerful than we understood. And going back to what your mother said about how our music will be in the future, I think that's the energy she was tapping into. Like
Right.
the
Right.
only reason why it's going to be way more powerful in the future is because that's when you're going to realize how powerful you are.
Mhm.
Now that you know how powerful you are, now you're getting out your own way. So like the project me and you are working on right now with our, Virginia Beach Boulevard.
Yes,
How is
sir.
this any different from the appetizer?
Right. Right. Right.
Simply getting out your own way, and then here comes the music again,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So the
Definitely.
mission never stopped, but now it's becoming more holistic because back to now, Faith, you're becoming more in alignment with who you are right now and
Mhm.
not who you want to be. Uh, he said, Brandon wanted to know how did who you are get viral. So, real simple. So when we put the project out, one of the so we was in the
What brand is that?
organization.
Powers or DJ Wise?
No, Brandon Powers.
Okay. What up? What
So
up, B? Mhm.
what's up? So what happened was when we put the project who you weekend update up out, the organization we was in, Israelite Heritage, shout out to Obadiah, rest in peace, based out
Mhm.
of Chicago. We shared the music with them. A young lady from the org took the song and put it on YouTube and made like a compilation video to it of different pictures of
I
Hebrew.
don't even think she was from the org, bro.
You sure?
I don't even think she was from the org. I think I remember the name. It was like Hype Sis or something.
Yeah.
Uh, she was just a practicing Israelite, yo, who came because remember it was
Really?
people. Yeah, yeah, it was people that were just studying being an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? That and it was being shared within that community. You know what I mean? I don't even
Wow.
know if algorithm was a thing back then. You know what I'm saying? But it was yeah, it was circulating through that. So yeah, she wasn't even in our organization, yo. She was
Wow.
just like an actual fan of the song, yo.
That's wild. So she might have known somebody through the organization, but you're right. We was putting the music out on YouTube too.
YouTube,
So
YouTube.
she took the video and put it on her channel.
And
That's that. Hmm,
remember too, before you forget, we're talking about a time where you post something on Facebook, everybody who follows you is gonna see it.
that's true.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So everybody who follows, you know what I'm saying? You ain't had to do no paid advertisements and none of that, you know
You
what I
couldn't
mean?
even do
So
that back then.
right,
You
that
couldn't even
didn't
pay
even
for
exist.
advertisements
Right.
because Facebook didn't have ads yet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
this is before the ads. So
Right.
they were starting to have a little ad bar at the bottom, but that was from like you had to go through like Google Ads to put an ad out on like the different channels, but in the
Yeah,
different
yeah,
websites.
monetization.
Right. But yeah, so she put this video out. The video got like 3,000 views
Yeah.
in like a weekend.
Hmm.
I remember going back to it like 6 months later, it had over like 20 some thousand views.
Right.
And so that was the beginning of that song in its virality, if you will. Because after she put it out, I started seeing other videos randomly popping up of people putting the song on their channel.
Hmm.
And so I think at one point, I think I discovered probably like 25, 30 different channels with the song Who You Are on there. And I'm sure that if you really dig deep through it, you can still find those videos. Some of those videos only got 10, 20 plays. Some of the other ones got a couple thousand plays.
Right.
But the music video didn't come out until a whole year and a half later, you know? And again, looking back, it's like, wow. I remember going back to school because I wasn't going to go back to school. I ended up going back to school. I had a $3,500 check from a refund, right? I remember looking back um and going, man, I don't know why it never crossed my mind to take that money and shoot a Who You Are music video with it.
Right.
Because the way things were going, if you were to put an actual real music video out, like we did a year and a half later, and remember you ended up having to edit it, so it didn't have the same quality as Revelations.
Right. Right.
Because we didn't know anything about editing. Had we just paid a videographer, back then it still would only cost you what, like 1,000, 1,500, and shot
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Who You
Yeah.
Are music video without thinking about
Hmm.
it. Oh man, that I mean, I can't even imagine the way that timeline would look. Because back then, and this is still true to this day, music videos go viral on YouTube.
Hmm.
The right one, the right video. It ain't got to be spectacular. It ain't got to be crazy. It just got to land.
Right.
The image, what you're doing, like Revelations was dope. We was just chilling on we was just at when we were at Mount Trashmore when we shot that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it
We.
looked so dope. It's two guys, it's us on the mound
Yeah.
rapping. I'm on the phone, you rapping, going in. Like it looks. I love the Revelations video, and when I
We
look
were
back
we
at the
were trying to
video,
make it look like we was trying to make it look like we were in Germany or something.
yeah, I
Yeah.
believe you. Like,
Yeah.
but it's just back then, we understood. And shout out to Stephen Gale too for directing it. We understood
Hmm.
how to edit now
Hmm.
because of the Who You Are music video.
Hmm.
So he knew now how to, bounce the video down, get the quality, put it in there, and bounce it out, export it. We didn't know anything about that. Same thing with the mixing. Like when I first started mixing versus when we started mixing music with Appetizer and then so on and so forth, the mixes got better and better and better because we understood like, oh, okay, compression, EQ.
Hmm.
I don't want to get too technical, but you learn as you go, right?
Right.
Well, I'm looking at it through the lens of paying someone who already knew what they were doing $1,500 to just shoot our music video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today, you can get a quality music video for $250. Back then, it would have cost you 1,500, but we always had the money. And that's the funny thing about situations, right? The resources are always there.
Right.
It's the now faith
Yep.
that you have in your vision and what you're seeing to act on it and see. what you have available at your disposal, right?
Right.
I like to use these phones as an example. You know, you got people out here right now, and I'm speaking to you, not to you, Hen, but to you who's watching. I know that there's a podcast or a project or something that you're waiting to do. And you're like, man, once I get this $1,000 worth of equipment, I'm gonna do it. And you got $1,000 worth of equipment. What you think that iPhone 16, 17 is in your pocket?
Right. Hmm.
It's right there, but you're in your own way
Yeah. Yeah.
for whatever reason. That's everybody's journey.
Right.
But you can literally cut your phone on, click live, record it, bounce it down, edit it, drop it. No extra charges other than you having your phone and the phone bill you're paying every month, regardless.
What's something that is stands out in your memory as you getting in your own way within this journey?
Oh man, I have 50,000 stories.
Yeah, just
Um,
just give me one that
the
comes to
Who You
mind.
Are music video, not thinking about the money. Not realizing that with the Who You Are mixtape, I could have made a ton of money just selling that at this corner store.
It's facts.
Um, so on the appetizer, instead of like when we did appetizer, instead of marketing it towards who we marketed to, I just went right back to the Hebrews. The Hebrews were loving
Right.
that project.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I would have that I kick myself for is just not continuing to put my own music out. I should have been
Yeah.
dropping the project every year.
Yeah.
But I've been forgiving myself for that. And then now that I'm being treated for ADHD, I know now that a lot of the stuff that I didn't do was because I couldn't get over that hump of having an idea and then acting on it. A lot of the things that I have regrets over, I had those ideas. It wasn't like something that I missed, right?
Hmm.
It was, oh man, I should be dropping more music. I go to make more music, I get in my own way. So it took me 2 years to drop late, 5 years to drop Plant Seeds Pray for Rain. Um, then I dropped like one or two EPs since, but I took them down because I didn't like the way they sounded. Or some of the songs I wanted to re-release in a different way, right? And so here we are from 2009 to 2020, 2026. I've only dropped three projects, but I got about 10 projects worth of music. So if I could say anything, I would say that um my new self would have released a lot more music. Which brings us back to what we're doing today. So like, I'm re-releasing Plant Seeds Pray for Rain on my birthday. Not promoting it, but I'm moving it to my new artist name of How Miles. The artist Uriah page is like all flooded with like all different types of Uriah. So I'm getting away from that name.
Right.
And from there, we're re-releasing all of our music because back to what your mom said, that music is for the future. Here we are in the future. This is the now. And what we're doing right now, I'm telling you, Hen, is bringing the music back to life
Right.
because they're hearing what we're saying, they're seeing what we're saying, and they're going, oh, that's what the music is about. Who is this music for, right? You know, talking and having these conversations makes it very clear as day who the music is for.
I came across it. Uh, I was on Instagram this morning. I forget what the guy's name is, but he's like an A&R, runs a label or something. He wears the glasses, and he's got like a little list. But he was, you know who he is. You've seen him before. But he
Mhm.
was telling the artist, he was like, "Yo, if I don't know your story, if I don't know the story behind the music, then it don't even matter. Your song don't even matter. But if I know your story." You as a person, I know your story. He's like, yo, the song don't even gotta be that good. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
He's like, the song don't even gotta be that good, man. I can actually, you know, okay, I get what you're talking about now. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you done pissed your girl off and this song is an apology. Oh, okay, cool. It could be trash, but because you explain it and I know your story, you know, it makes sense to me now, and I can actually respect that, and fans will actually um, appreciate that in the music.
Well, my first thought is it trash?
Right.
Because here's the thing, it's all in context.
So in the
A lot
context.
of people say that music on the radio is trash, but what they're
Right.
really saying is that the content is trash,
Right. Hmm.
right? But we know as musicians that every song that's on the radio is catchy. And that
Hmm.
is what it takes to sell music and all the products that come along with it, the tickets, the merch, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Right? So you made a song that, we would say is trash when it comes to how catchy it is, but it's not catchy. But the minute they understand your story, then all of a sudden the song makes sense to them. And now it's a good song. This is what I say about a lot of musicians that's in the game. A lot of people make great music. It's just not catchy.
Hmm.
The music is really good. You got people out there that got these fire flows. The beats sound good, but when you go to listen to it, it's like it's not catching my attention. It's other music that I would rather be listening to. I'd rather cut on some Janae Aiko or some Kendrick Lamar, you know what I'm saying, than to be listening to this because even though it's good, it's not catchy. Or rather, even though the artist is talented, the song itself is not catchy. I'm not interested in listening to that. And that's what you're competing against when you're putting music out. You're
Right.
competing for attention. And how do you get attention? You have to hook them, right? And so what you've done and what that guy described is that the narrative is now the hook.
The narrative. Right.
It doesn't have to be catchy. You just need a hook. And if the hook is I'm going to get online and tell my story, and then people hear my story and go listen to my music, they're going, "Oh, that's what he's rapping and singing about. That's dope." So
Mhm.
now they're watching your story, they hear your new story, they hear your new revelations or, whatever you're talking about, and then they're listening to the new songs and watching the music videos. Right. Brandon's talking about pop music. Yeah, absolutely. That pop music, that's the music that doesn't really need that story, but then eventually you do need that story, right? That's
Mhm.
why the TMZ comes in. Like when you're a pop star, one of the ways you tell your story is by going viral on TMZ, doing something crazy in public, right? There's different ways to do it, but people need something to latch onto, right? When we were making our Hebrew music, people was latching on to the idea of us being who we are based on an identity. So they're coming into the gate going, "Oh, these some Hebrew brothers. I gotta check the song out." They listen to the song. It ain't that
Right.
good, but it's good to them because it doesn't have to be that catchy. They understand what we're saying in the lyrics.
Right. So boom, stay right there. So that's what made who you are so significant because who you are had that hook that made the non Hebrew Israelites, the people who didn't even understand what being a Hebrew Israelite is or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
all they heard was we stiff neck,
Mm-hmm.
we wild, we on the corner, wildin' out,
Right.
we ignorant, we proud. You see what I'm saying?
No,
It was
absolutely.
like, and we had cracked that formula to what we were doing as Hebrew Israelite artists, you know what I'm saying, or
Mm-hmm.
artists that were Hebrew Israelites,
Mm-hmm.
um we finally came with that, you came with that hook and these short verses and
Right.
you know what I'm saying, because remember this was even before a time where uh people were still making 3 verse records. You know what I'm saying? People were still making 3 verse songs.
I mean, we made a 3 verse song that, popped,
Right, right, right.
and they
So
were.
yeah, yeah. So
People barely do 1 verse now. It's
crazy. Ain't it?
wild, bro, because of the attention span. I get it.
Hold on, I gotta
People.
open the door. Yes, sir. Give me like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. All right, go ahead.
But yeah, I know we got to get ready to wrap this up. But look, this is the thing, man. We got to do this again. I really want to pick up where we left off. Um, what we're about to leave off because like going into like the understanding of the philosophy behind music is so powerful. We've learned a lot along the way in understanding how people operate, how people, interpret you through your image, through what you're saying, through your music. And it's very interesting looking back in time, in this present moment, because you can see how things work. And it's funny, you were the one that put me on to Drink Champs.
Hmm.
And Drink Champs is so powerful because you got all these different artists going on there, and they're reminiscing, telling their story and their perspective of it. And then as they tell it, then other artists come on and tell the exact same story from their perspective,
Right.
right? And then you start to see this picture forms. Um, and you see that everybody has their specific perspective, and the limitation of it, because everybody's describing the same thing. They're describing that magical moment, if you will, of how something came together and worked.
Yeah.
And from their perspective, it worked because of this. But then someone else comes in and say, "Hey, but you didn't know about this. This particular person was doing this over here, right?" Just like
Hmm.
I didn't know that the lady who posted that video wasn't even from the org,
Hmm.
right? Brandon's asking us, like, "Yo, how did it go viral?" It was this particular lady who dropped the first seed,
Right.
right? And her example led to other people also grabbing the song and so on and so forth and putting it in the background of their video that they was making, you know, Hebrews, the real Hebrews, and putting up the pictures, and then they had the words
Hmm.
going across the screen explaining the whole Hebrew Israelite movement. And then our song is the soundtrack,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so the usefulness of music as well. And so that's the philosophy too. Um, there's other ways to get your music out there, because you go, oh, this song is good for a commercial. This song is good for a movie. This song in today's market is good for a soundbite. You got a lot of songs that people only heard those 5 seconds from, or 10, 15 seconds from the content being used for the song. When they go to listen to the song, they're like, oh, I don't even really like the song. I just like this little 15-second snippet where the beat
Hmm.
drops and then these 3, 4 words are said. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so music has a usefulness to it as well. It is the soundtrack of our lives, right? That's not even like a metaphor. That is legit a literal meaning as
Hmm.
well. Like, no, we're living our life, and in the background, we hear music,
Right.
right?
Right.
So yeah, man. So look, I like to keep these things at an hour. We went a little bit over that, but yeah, let's pick this back up. So with the Tile Dialogue series, of course, I'm gonna upload this to YouTube. Um, by doing this, we can use these clips to share. You have permission as well. If you want to take any of these clips or take the Tall Dialogue and put it on your channel. I say all these things as a disclaimer, just so you know, as well. And then what I'm seeing with what we're doing is ongoing conversation, because like just me and you, we could have our own podcast. You
We
know what I'm
got a
saying?
lot.
Like
Yeah. We
we
got a
got
lot.
50 million things to talk about. So
Yeah.
I kind of want to do this with you on a
Next
regular
week.
basis.
Yeah. 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 For real. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so yeah, so for the people
See,
listening
look,
out
look,
there,
that's a now moment right there, bro. This is a now moment, yo. Just having to do it, actually doing it to actually see. Hold on, we need to do this more.
yeah, we need to do this more, because we don't know how it's going to go. I had the
Yeah,
faith. I talked to
yeah,
you. Remember, I talked to you yesterday. I said, I think when we get to talking, man, we're going to go down memory lane and we're going to have some new realizations. And here we
yeah.
are. It just made sense to me. And so, yeah, man. So I got certain people that I want, Brandon being on here. I'm like, man, I'm about to reach out to Brandon. Brandon, I'm going to reach out to you if you're listening. Um, I would love for you to come on here and
Hmm.
talk, and let's talk about some philosophy stuff. You know what I'm saying? But today is all about the now faith. Maybe we'll pick another topic and then go down memory lane from that approach. But yeah, man, I appreciate you always. This is dope.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna try to get I'm gonna try to get this episode out on YouTube, and then start chopping it up. Maybe in a day or two, we'll start dropping some clips.
All
But
right.
yeah, man. Um, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, sir. That game right at the Man Haven Mall.
Yes, sir.
Dang.
Look, peace, shalom,
Let's get
two up, two down.
it.